What's going on, everybody? This is episode 739 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And I have my Georgia Southern attire on, but we're going to talk about Atlanta. We're going to talk about the Falcons again because Georgia Southern has some more transfers that came in, which we will talk about them on the next episode. But I want to talk about the recap and aftermath of the 2023 season. If you've been following this show, if you've been following any other content that relates to the Falcons, you kind of know what happened and how things happen. But I want to give you, my perspective on it. Because one thing I like to do here, I am one of the type of content creators that like to react to what happened. I'm not one of these people that really predict things, think I'm in the know. I think this channel and this show thrives on the fact that we don't know everything, so we can actually give some real perspective to things that actually happen instead of just trying to have a hot take and just to get people all riled up. I understand that's how YouTube and Rumble works and social media works in general, but I like to talk about the facts instead of just putting stuff out there. So there's a lot of stuff that's there to react to, and that's what I like to do. I like to react to things instead of just, like I said, just putting hot takes out there. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. This episode will be up in the mornings now. I think I did the mornings before. Usually I try to put these episodes up at night, but I feel that these episodes are more people listen to the episodes in the morning, and I really appreciate everybody who do that. And it's really cool that people wake up in the morning and listen to the show. That's really awesome. I can also be found on X or Twitter at VF Baller. The website is firstandframerates.com. And if you want to support the show, PayPal and CashApp links are below. You can check those out as well. They're in the description. Let's go ahead and get into this. All right. The Atlanta Falcons, they pretty much did a pretty good, thing in the beginning of the season. And the pretty good thing is they won some games. They won the first two games. And that was a lot of promise because what we were looking for was a situation where we were looking for some consistency, and we was looking for some decent quarterback play. And for the most part, those first two games, you kind of felt that you had that. When you look at the first game we played against the Panthers, and that, we actually thought that, okay, hey, 24-10 was going to be looking good. And, Jesse Bates was the one that had the two interceptions. And, like I said, Desmond Ridder, which all of this is pretty much going to circle around for various reasons, he looked pretty decent. He didn't look too bad at all. I mean, you look at the situation with him, he threw 15 for 18, 115 and a touchdown. And you're like, oh, okay. It's kind of like more of the same. And then so you go into the next game against the Packers, same thing, 19-32, 237, one touchdown, one interception. It was a comeback win. We had 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, and it looks like everything was good. Those first two games were looking pretty nice. Bijan Robinson had over 100 yards. The defense, they bend but don't break at the end of the game. I think they had the Packers down for like 6 straight 3-and-outs or something like that, and you thought everything was moving in the right direction. But one thing about this team, and even with the coach Arthur Smith tenure, we never won 3 games in a row in the 3 years he was here. And it ended up, it was kind of like a downfall of the season, but we kept bouncing back. So it was kind of weird because the Lions and the Lions and the Jaguars game, those two games were like really bad. Even if you look at the way that the games played out, the Lions only beat us 20-6. And people say, oh, yeah, that looks pretty bad. But you got to understand, there's 2 touchdowns. So it, and in the situation, I think Desmond Ridder turned the ball over a couple times there. And I'm not about to go through every game and just recap off the rip on that. But it was just, that's just what it was. The turnovers, and all this other stuff was not really good in the game. I mean, he threw for 201 yards, not too bad. Jared Goff threw an interception as well, but you kind of see how things were going at that point. We didn't look as solid as we thought we would. Even Bijan Robinson only had 33 yards on 10 carries. Defense was all right, but it's just the offense was just inept. Falcons and Jaguars, this game was in London. This is where things really start to fall apart. 2 interceptions for Desmond Ridder. The defense didn't look the best. Jonnu Smith had 95 yards and Bijan Robinson had over 100 yards. So after that, you don't, like I said, I don't want to go through every single game, but I'm just going to give you like my thoughts and opinions on the rest of them, because after the 2-2 start, you didn't know how things were going to fall out. Texans, we beat the Texans. I think that was a 300-yard game by Desmond Ridder. Then the Commanders, it just goes back and forth. We play against Commanders. Desmond Ridder threw for like he threw for 307, but he had 3 interceptions. It's the same thing. Like the Falcons' whole situation against the Buccaneers the following game. The Falcons was looking pretty good in the red zone, turned the ball over 3 times, still got away with the victory on that game. And that was a significant game right there. It was a pretty big deal. You get your divisional opponent early, you knock them out. You already had a divisional win against the Panthers. You were looking pretty good in the division. Then the next 3 games were just awful. The Titans, Vikings, Cardinals. I mean, you look at those 3 games, we really had no business losing all 3. We should have won at least 2 of those. Kyler Murray comes back and beat us. Josh Dobbs, why would I even want to talk about that? That was just horrible. And that's when people just start to lose faith in the team. Hated rival Saints come into town. I think that was at the 50-year hip-hop game. That was a great, great atmosphere. Saints end up going down against our Falcons. We end up going in there and beating them up in our stadium 24-15 when we thought we right the ship. And on top of that, the following week, we go up to the Jets, play against the Jets in New Jersey, 13-8. It was a sloppy game, but we ended up winning that one as well. But like I said, this tenure of Coach Arthur Smith, we never won 3 games in a row. In the 3 years he was here, had a chance to do it against the Buccaneers, and you saw what happened there. The Falcons lose to the Buccaneers 29-25. We pretty much had that game it wrapped up, but for some reason we could not stop Baker Mayfield at the end of the game. And it was really disheartening how they end up, beating us. I mean, even in that game, Desmond Ridder threw for 347, and Drake London did everything he could, to win that game. Straight monster game for him, 10 for 172. But we just couldn't stop these guys in the fourth quarter. If we could have got that stop, could have won that game and really could have took control of this division. But ever since then, everything went downhill. I don't even want to talk about the Panthers game. The interception heard around the world. You thought things could have got bad when Mariota did the tuck and roll in Charlotte last year, the year before that. But no, that interception that Desmond Ridder threw was one of the worst. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. And he ended up getting benched. That was the second time, because he got benched around the Titans game. So, and then even then, they gave us a glimmer of hope when we played against the Colts. And the Colts, 29-10, we could have won that game. I mean, we did win that game. Looked pretty good. The Colts game was probably the best game that we had this entire season. Maybe the Saints-Falcons game, maybe when we played, when the Saints came to Atlanta on November 26th, maybe. But I want to say that Christmas Eve game was probably the most complete game the Falcons played. That was their best game of the season. Then we go up to Chicago, and they got beat up. I mean, they really did. And the last game of the season was that sealed Coach Arthur Smith's fate, was the 48-17 game. And that's pretty much the recap. We went 7-10 for the 3rd straight year. And this 7-10 looked way worse than the first 2 7-10s. You kind of understand where you were at the first 2 seasons. This season was the first season where you were supposed to win 10+ games. And the schedule and the roster was set up for that. But, at the end of the day, when you have a quarterback, I mean, it is what it is. People want to say, it's this, that, and the third. But no, when you have a quarterback that just was not was not on point to do what he's supposed to do, he just was inept. He didn't even throw for 3,000 yards this season. At 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, QBR 39.9. What can you say? You know what I mean? It was just, it was bad. And then when you look at the last game when he did play, you look at the game, it don't look bad. 22 for 30, 291, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. That actually is not a bad stat line, but the interception he threw was like a horrific one. And like I said, after that, I felt like the team just gave up. The team was like, forget it. We're good. We're done. We're out of here. It's nothing else to talk about. And so the aftermath of this is Coach Arthur Smith was fired. We find out that Rich McKay basically runs the show. Terry Fontenot is just there for the most part to give input based on what they said. And they tried to, they tried to spin it around and say that, they tried to say, it's not that, he's well, involved in everything that we do. And it just came off as really bad. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. Maybe they just have they just don't have good intentions on what they're doing here. And I talked about that in a video I did on YouTube. I think it's on Rumble as well, where it's just so much dysfunction, man. There's something wrong with the front office. Something is wrong with this front office. It's a very bad problem here. And we're going to have to weather the storm from here on out. And I feel that, honestly, I feel like I don't even know if that's going to, be anytime soon. This franchise may be in trouble for a while because of that. It may be in trouble for a while because of that, because it's something that this shouldn't be the problem. This should not be the problem. If you're going to have an issue with the team, let that issue be because of what the GM does. Yeah, I understand that I understand that the owner is going to have the final say on whatever coach that they pick, but let him pick it. Because to me, it just seems like that Rich McKay is running the show. And I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about that going forward. I don't have much confidence. The only way I feel confident is you have to have a coach in here that really is going to set the table on everything that happens with player personnel. To the point where Rich McKay really can't be involved, or he won't be involved. Not to the extent where it seemed like he is. I'm really worried about this team. I am. This is the first time I can honestly say, even with the Dan Reeves, Mike Vick, even going back to Jeff George and June Jones, and even when they had different owners and different GMs, I never felt the way I felt right now, where I really, feel like we see behind the curtain. And behind the curtain, this team is not really built the way we thought it was. And it's a cause for serious concern. Serious concern. It really irks me. I really can't, I'm just lost words because I can't deny it, man. I can't shake it. It really concerns me. So I don't know, man. I'm going to get up out of here. What do you guys think? If you like this commentary, the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble, also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter or X at VFBaller. The website is firstandframerates.com. And I know I got all the Georgia Southern gear on, and it's not much to talk about Georgia Southern, but I'm really concerned about the Falcons, and I wanted to talk about this. So hopefully things change when we get a new coach. We'll be talking about it here, and we'll react to that as well. So I'm going to get up out of here. You guys take it easy. You guys enjoy your morning. You guys have a good one. You guys take it easy, and y'all be blessed. Peace.